Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Massa Tutorials. We are still on November to December exams as 2022 solutions course from general mathematics objective test. Now we have our divided circle, which is also known as the pie chart. The pie chart shows the means by which a sample of students come to school in the morning, right? 50 of the students walk to school every morning. 46, we've been asked to what? Find how many students cycle to school. How many students cycle to school? Now, this pie chart shows what? Angles. It shows the angles which is measured in what? Degrees. By this time around, they said how many. They are looking for the number of students who cycle to what? School. So how best can we solve that? So let's see solution. Now, let's find for the angle that represents cycle or the angle for cycle. Now the total angles in a circle is what? 360 degrees. So we can find for this x. So I'll add all, which is 100 degrees plus 50 degrees plus 70 degrees plus x degrees must be equal to 360 degrees. So we get here, which is 170. 170 plus 50, which gives us 220. So I have 220 degrees plus x degrees equals 360 degrees. So I have x degrees being equal to 360 degrees minus 220 degrees. So my x degrees must be equal to 360 minus 220, which is 140 degrees. So we have 140 degrees for cycle. So the angle for cycle is what? 140 degrees. But this is not what we are interested in. Instead, we should find for the quantity, the number of students who cycle to school. The cycle to school. So cycle. So now let's see. We have the pie chart again. Let's read the information given. The pie chart shows the means by which a sample of students come to school in the morning. 50 of the students walk. So 50 of them walk, right? And we know the angle for walk, which is what? 100 degrees. So we can say that this 100 degrees must be equal to what? 50. Because there's the number and there's the angle. They are equal. Walk, walk. So we can equate the 100 degrees equals what? 50. Right. Then now, we are looking for the number of students who cycle. And we know that this one is number, this is angle. And here too is what? Angle for cycle. So 140 degrees must be equal to what? We are looking for the number. So it must be what? Beneath the what? 50. Right. So we can use x to represent that. So we do cross product here. So 100 times x equals 140 times 50. What can we do here? Can divide here by 100, also by 100. This guy cancels that. This one cancels. So I get x being equal to 14 times 5. So x must be equal to 5, 4, 20. 5, 1, 5 plus 2, we get 7. So we have 70 students. So 70 students. So which is option B? Option B for boy. Option B for boy, which is very, very simple and very, very interesting and very, very trivial as well. So let's proceed to question 47. Question 47. How many students were sampled? How many students were sampled? So this time around, they want what? The number of students sampled. So now let's see. And know that the number of students, which is the total, right? Now when you come to the angle, which means what? The total angle, that's what? 360 degrees. So I can say that 360 degrees must be equal to the number of students sampled. We don't know. So I can use x. Then we can say that walk is 100 degrees. We know the number, which is what? 50. So 100 degrees equals 50 So we can do cross product here. So I get 360 times 50 equals 100 times x. So now what do? We divide both sides by what? 100. That's the coefficient of x. So we have 100 here. This guy cancels, this guy cancels. So we have x being equal to 36 times 5. So my x must be equal to 5, 6, 30. Then 5, 3, 15 plus 3, get 180. So we can see that hence 180 students were sampled. Hence 180 students were sampled, which is option D. Option D for dog. Option D for dog. So we proceed to question 48. So question 48 is stated what? Solve negative 2 over 5 multiplying 2x minus 3 less than negative 3 over 5 multiplying x minus 1. So solution, how best can we solve this? How many terms here? We have 1 term, then 2 terms. What will be our LCM? Our LCM will be 5, the least common multiple or divisor. So we use 5 to multiply through by the number of terms, which is 2 times. So I have 5 times negative 2 over 5 times my 2x minus 3 less than 5 times negative 3 over 5 times my x minus 1. So this guy cancels that. This guy cancels that. So we have 1, then here 1. We have that here. So 1 times negative 2, we still have negative 2 times my 2x minus 3 less than 1 times negative 3, I have negative 3 times x minus 1. So we have negative 2 multiplying the expression inside. The same thing applies to this guy here. So negative 2 times 2x, we get what? Negative 4x. Then negative 2 times negative 3, get positive 6, which must be less than negative 3 times x, we get negative 3x. Then negative 3 times negative 1, we get positive 3. So we have this. So we group like terms. Negative 4x. Now this one is negative 3x. When it crosses this inequality sign, it becomes positive 3x. Less than, this one is positive 3. This one is positive 6. When it crosses the inequality sign, it becomes negative 6. So we get negative 4x plus 3x. So negative 4, then we are owing 4, then we are having 3. So still, we are still owing 2. It reduces to what? Negative 1. Less than 3 minus 6 we get negative 3. So now we want x, not negative x. So what should we do? We have to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is negative. And remember, immediately you divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is the negative value, the sign changes. Immediately you divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is negative, the sign changes. So I have negative x divided by negative 1. So I have to change the sign to greater than because it's less than. Then negative 3 divided by negative 1. This cancels that. It cancels. So I get my x being greater than positive 3. So we get x greater than 3. And which is option C. Option C for cat. Option C for cat. So let's move on to question 49. So question 49. If 4x minus 3y equals negative 1 and x plus 2y equals 8, find the value of x plus y. So they said we should find the value of x plus y. So then we have to solve these two equations simultaneously to get x and y. So solving equations 1 and 2 simultaneously. solve them simultaneously. So I have 4x minus 3y equals negative 1. So this one can be equation 1, then x plus 2y equals 8. This one can be equation 2. So we have this. So now what can we do? What method are we using here? What method are we using here? Now let's go by the substitution approach. So substitution approach in equation 2. I move to equation 2. So I write in equation 2. In equation 2, we are using substitution method. Make x the subject verb. So we make x the subject. We make x the subject. So I have x plus 2y equals 8. So making x a subject, we send this 2y to the right hand side, which becomes what, negative. So I get 8 minus 2y. Now this one is labeled as equation what? 3, right? So we have equation 3, which is x equals 8 minus 2y. Then we substitute equation 3 back into equation 1. So we can write put equation 3 into 1. And what is 1? We have 4x minus 3y equals negative 1. So I have 4 is multiplying. What is x? 8 minus 2y minus 3y equals negative 1. So now 4 multiplies 8, we get 32 minus 4 times 2y, we get 8y, then minus 3y equals negative 1, which is very, very simple. So now we can proceed and say that 32, we have like times here, negative 8, negative 3, we get what? Negative 11. So I can write 32 minus 11y equals negative 1. So now here, what can we do? We can group like this. So this one is negative 1. When it crosses the equal sign, it becomes what? Positive. So I get 32 plus 1 equals 11y. So 32 plus 1, we get what? 33, which must be equal to 11y. So now what can we do here? The coefficient of y is 11. So we divide both sides by the coefficient of y, which is 11. So we get 33 divided by 11, which must be equal to 11y divided by 11. Then we get our y being equal to 3. Because 11 goes into 33 how many times? 3 times. 11 times 3 is 33. So we have our value of y, which is what? 3. So we can say that we can label this one as equation 4 to find for the value of x. So we can say that put equation 4 back into equation. We have so many equations here. You can choose one. Either equation 1, 2, and 3. So I choose equation 3. And what's equation 3? It is x equals 8 minus 2y. So x equals 8 minus 2 times y, which is 3. So x equals 8 minus 6, and x equals 2. So we have our x equals 2, then we have our y being equal to 3. But the question here is, they are not interested in x and y. They are interested in what? The sum, the summation of x and y. So now, what can you do? So if you sum x and y, x is 2 plus my y is 3. So if you sum them, you get 5. So this is what they are interested in. So the answer is option B for boy. Option B for boy. Option B for boy. So now let's move on to our last question for this objective test, which is question 50. Question 50. So question 50. Find the values of y for which 1 plus 3r divided by 1 minus 3r minus 1 minus 3r divided by 1 plus 3r is undefined, which means does not exist. Does not exist. So we have 1 plus 3r divided by 1 minus 3r minus 1 minus 3r divided by 1 plus 3r. So now we need to find for the LCM here. So let's find for the LCM. So our LCM will be 1 minus 3r, 1 plus 3r. Right. This one takes away that and is left with 1 plus 3r. So it multiplies. So I get 1 plus 3r multiplying 1 plus 3r minus, we have that, which means the minus will affect the whole of that. Then this guy takes away that. So we get what? 1 minus 3r multiplying the same 1 minus 3r. So with this, you can write it as, they are the same. So I can write it as 1 plus 3r all squared. Then minus, I can also write it as well. 1 minus 3r all squared divided by 1 minus 3r, 1 plus 3r. But they are not interested in what you are doing. They are interested in the undefined values. Now, if you want to find for the undefined values, you concentrate on the denominator, which means that the denominator should not be equal to 0. The denominator should not be equal to 0. So if the denominator is equal to 0, then how best can you solve this? So then 1 minus 3r, 1 minus 3r, then 1 plus 3r must be equal to 0. Then I can say that this 1 minus 3r must be equal to 0. 1 minus 3r must be equal to 0. Then 1 plus 3r must also be equal to 0. We can group like things. So I have 1 equals, so I'll get 3r. What can I see? Can divide here by 3, also by 3. R will be equal to 1/3. So we have 1/3. Then I have 1 plus 3r equals 0. So I group 1 equals negative 3r, because this one crosses, I get negative. I divide here by negative, negative, then I get my r equals negative 1/3. So it means that immediately we put these values, 1/3 and negative 1/3, inside the expression here at the denominator, the whole of this fraction will be what? Undefined, which means does not exist. So find the values of